They're doing very strange experimentation. There are beings from portals coming in and out.
Beings coming in and out of portals.
Yes, they have apparently in the bottom of the CERN this portal, this door where they are dealing with all the subatomic dimensions.
She's not the only one talking about this. If you've seen the latest video, you know Dan Burish has been saying the same thing.
They are from the future, 45,000 years ahead of
45,000 years ahead on a separate timeline than what we are presently on.
People from the future coming through open portals. I can't even wrap my mind around it. And now, to hear a CERN insider saying it out loud. But here's what's more disturbing.
When you look at what is going on in the CERN, there is a fight from some of the military agencies. Intel, they say that there is a fight on time. They're trying to change time.
Trying to change time or changing timelines. The cornucopia was there. Tinkerbell did dot the I in the Disney intro. Pikachu's tail had a black tip, but now they say it was never there. And there are dozens of examples just like this, and every single one of them messes with my head. Lately, I feel something is off, something is wrong with time itself. I can feel it, and I know a lot of you can feel it too. I have this feeling that time is broken. It passes too fast, even if I stay and do nothing for an entire day. Okay, I know there are some scientific explanations for that, but what about the Mandela effect? How do you explain that? This is why I had to make a part 2. To put it all together, this CERN insider talking about portals and beings coming in and out, this feeling that time itself may be broken, the Mandela effects, and all these unanswered questions and doubts about what CERN is really doing. While researching this video, I came across someone named Frank Jacob, who says,
I thought I'd do an impromptu report on something which I think is giving people a lot to be concerned about. The investigative journalist Miriam Hanine recently published an article entitled "CERN Erupts Over Portals, Particles and the Large Hadron Collider."
So I followed the link shown below, and surprise, it looks like the article was deleted. Interesting. A journalist writes an article raising concerns about CERN, and the article can't be found anymore. I searched everywhere on their site. Nothing. But I did find it eventually in the web archive, and what it said shook me more than I expected. Let me explain what was in that article, because this is where it gets very, very interesting. All of this comes from the investigative journalist Miriam Hanine. First, you need to understand what's happening at CERN. It's very important. 10 years after discovering the Higgs boson, the so-called God particle, CERN's Large Hadron Collider started smashing protons together at energy levels we've never seen before. Their stated goal? To reveal more secrets about how the universe works. Let's talk about what this machine actually is. The LHC is the world's largest and most powerful particle collider. It's a circular tunnel, nearly 17 miles long, buried 574 feet underground along the border between Switzerland and France. After a 3-year upgrade, it was fired back up in April 2022, and on July 5th of that year, it began a new experiment running 24/7. For the next 4 years, at a record energy of 13.6 trillion electron volts. That's slightly higher than its previous record. They'll collect data, then shut down again in 2026 for another 3-year upgrade, before starting up once more in 2029. The price tag so far? $9.2 billion. The process sounds like science fiction. They take 2 beams of protons, the particles in the nucleus of the atom, and shoot them in opposite directions around this 17-mile ring at almost the speed of light. Then they make them collide. These collisions are recorded by massive detectors with names like Atlas, CMS, Alice, and LHCb. Thousands of scientists will analyze the debris, hoping to find clues about dark matter, dark energy, and what the article calls other fundamental mysteries. And almost immediately, they started finding things. Early in Run 3, CERN reported the observation of 3 new exotic particles. The article explains these could help reveal how the most fundamental building blocks of matter, called quarks, bind together. One experiment, called Alice, wants to study a state of matter known as quark-gluon plasma, a superhot soup where atoms melt away. Scientists believe this was the state of the entire universe just a fraction of a second after the Big Bang. Another, called LHCb, studies the beauty quark, and this is where things get strange. The beauty quark is key to understanding the difference between matter and antimatter, their opposite charged twin. When matter and antimatter touch, they annihilate each other in a flash of energy. The Big Bang should have created equal amounts of both, but it didn't. Our universe is made almost entirely of matter. That imbalance, as the article plainly states, has no explanation. We exist because of a cosmic typo that no one can explain. In 2018, CERN scientists figured out how to trap it and transport it from one facility to another. The amount they moved, according to the article, had an energy equivalent of about 20 Hiroshima atomic bombs. The research here is mind-bending. They're testing whether antimatter reacts to gravity the same way matter does. This is a fundamental question. If it doesn't, it would break one of Einstein's core principles. Recent results, the article notes, show that within strict boundaries, it does fall the same way. But the search continues. All this research leads to an even bigger idea, one that feels like it's taken from a sci-fi book. The article quotes a theory. Let me read that part directly from the article. Though it may sound like science fiction, if extra dimensions exist, they could explain why the universe is expanding faster than expected and why gravity is weaker than other forces of nature. The search for extra dimensions is not science fiction. It is a legitimate, active area of research in theoretical physics. CERN's stated mission is to search for evidence of them. But then, the article makes a pivot. After laying out this high-level science, it states, unfortunately, the public is not fully aware of the full potential of CERN as it relates to interdimensional communication. And from this point, the tone of this article shifts. It moves from reporting on science to examining symbols, rituals, and unanswered questions. So please, stay with me. It gets really, really interesting. It mentions CERN's logo, which some say contains the number 666. Founded in 1954 by 12 European countries, CERN later expanded to more than 20 member states. It is also where the World Wide Web was invented in 1989. Then, it describes an event in 2016, a ceremony for the opening of the Gotthard Base Tunnel in Switzerland. That ceremony was very weird. I won't go into details here to keep this video safe. You can look into it later if you're curious. The journalist directly connects this to CERN's activity. The last time CERN was turned up to full capacity, strange things happened around the world. The Earth's magnetosphere was affected, and an unexplained spiral was observed in Norway. Then it asks the question, point blank, is there a possibility that CERN opened an interdimensional portal? What are they really looking for? To answer that, it brings in a voice from the other side, a researcher named Sophia Kay, whose brother is a quantum physicist who worked on the collider. She addresses concerns about CERN, telling, "This isn't an episode of Saturday morning cartoons. Sorry to disappoint anyone wanting to test the event horizon theory, but I think we're stuck here in this time zone for a little bit longer." She explains things in a simple way. Before the LHC was built, there were many theories about particles, but there was no method to test them outside of a computer simulation. It's very difficult to prove that certain particles actually exist. Our theories assume they do. Because of the LHC, scientists identified the top quark and the Higgs boson. These discoveries opened a new understanding of our cosmos. Particle acceleration allows us to test the fundamental nature of matter and reality. Sophia then addresses a common concern. She mentions Planck energy. This is a fundamental limit in physics. The Planck energy is a quintillion times higher than the maximum energy of the LHC. The following section has the title Black Holes and Portals to Hell. It mentions that many people distrust CERN. Regarding black holes, two particles could create a microscopic or micro black hole if they collide with energy above a specific threshold. Sophia presents the mainstream scientific position. The prevailing theory of gravity does not predict that a black hole can actually be made this way. Any competent physicist will tell you it's impossible. It would require a total abandonment of physics, quantum field mechanics, and logic. However, CERN's own official channels acknowledge the collider might produce black holes, not the kind found in space. The official position states black hole creation is very unlikely, but they allow for the possibility of tiny quantum black holes. According to sources referenced, such a black hole would decay harmlessly into ordinary particles. CERN states that observing this event would be a major discovery. They say it presents no danger and would be perfectly safe. The stated reasoning is clear. The creation of a black hole at the LHC would confirm theories that our universe is not four-dimensional, but indeed hosts other dimensions. This statement leads to subsequent questions. If dimensions exist beyond the four we experience, how do we know where these tiny black holes go? If they decay, where does that energy dissipate? CERN's man-made magnetic fields are 200,000 times stronger than Earth's natural magnetic field. This fact prompts another question. How could we be completely certain that there are no unintended effects? The article then presents research from Frank Jacob. Jacob is an award-winning filmmaker. He recently conducted a deep investigation into Project Looking Glass. His research proposes that CERN's goal extends beyond detecting extra dimensions. He claims they're actively attempting to penetrate through to the 11th dimension. Until now, the LHC has searched for mini black holes at energy levels below 5.3 tera-electron volts. A theory called gravity's rainbow suggests this energy is too low. The article quotes CERN scientist Mir Faisal. His model predicts black holes could form at energy levels of at least 9.5 tera-electron volt in 6 dimensions and 11.9 tera-electron volts in other configurations. The article notes the LHC's current run operates at 13.6 tera-electron volts. This energy is now above the energy threshold mentioned in the theoretical model. But what does this mean for our planet? Now it gets really interesting. In 2008, before the Large Hadron Collider was fully activated, a lawsuit was filed against CERN. The case argued that experiments at the collider could pose risks on a global scale, including the possibility of microscopic black holes. Around the same time, concerns were also raised in Europe from scientists and researchers. They submitted formal complaints, signed petitions, and publicly questioned whether the risks were being fully understood. These concerns were raised before the machine was switched on. The lawsuit was dismissed after the court ruled it had no jurisdiction over CERN. CERN does not operate under the laws of a single country. It was created by international treaty and is governed collectively by its member states. Because of this status, national courts do not automatically have authority over it. This is called limited jurisdiction. Legal oversight does not come from one court or one country. It is spread across international agreements and political coordination between states. Decisions are reviewed at a collective level rather than enforced by a single legal system. Think about that for a second. A machine built to push the boundaries of reality, operating beyond the reach of any national law. That alone raises questions. Who oversees this? Who is ultimately accountable? Many people have discussed the possibility of CERN opening black holes or portals. This idea has circulated for years. Sergio Bertolucci, who served as CERN's director for research and scientific computing, made an interesting statement in 2009. He said the LHC could discover things we cannot imagine. It could find an extra dimension. He described it as a door. He stated, "Out of this door might come something, or we might send something through it." He explained the door would open for an incredibly short time. The duration is 10 to the negative 26 seconds. This is an extremely small number. During that instant, scientists could look through the door. They could take something out, or they could send something in. Bertolucci concluded by saying the door would then close. We would return to our normal world. He called it a major leap in understanding nature. He said it had no practical use at that time. So, we have these elements. The public speculation about portals and black holes. An official statement from 2009 describing the collider as a functional door. Research into extra dimensions and quantum black holes. A legal system that cannot oversee the project. Now, the article moves into more disturbing details. It mentions a specific incident. It places it on July 13th, 2016. A man described as a CERN physicist, Dr. Edward Mantill, was found dead in his office. The reported cause of death was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The article says that Mantill had been researching a hidden code in the movement of neutrinos traveling between the Earth's north and south magnetic poles. A colleague describes his final days, saying Mantill had not slept for several days after stepping away from his research and isolating himself in his office. After missing several appointments, he was found in his office dead. His research papers had been burned in a trash bin and his computer had been wiped clean, except for a single remaining text file. That file contained a message. Mantle wrote, "Our universe is but one page in a large book. Think of a closed book sitting on a table. You see each page stacked on top of one another, bound by the spine and sandwiched between the two covers. Our universe is but one page in a vast and all-encompassing book, and our page is certainly not the only one with rich, in-depth thought and writing committed to it. Every page in the book represents a different dimension, each with its own unique writing, own unique story, own unique way of isolating itself from the other pages. No page was to interact with the other, just as no ink bleeds from one page to another in a standard book. Each page is a universe unto itself." After laying all of this out, the journalist asks a direct question. Was Edward Mantle even real? She searched online for records, background information, and any trace of his work, but didn't find anything solid. There were no clear references, no history, no reliable profile connected to his name. I looked into it myself and couldn't find anything solid. Or maybe his digital traces vanished. Who knows? But didn't CERN help create the World Wide Web? The article closes by returning to Frank Jacob, who says that CERN is already generating energy explosions that affect the Earth's Schumann resonances. He points to the year 2029 as a key moment, saying the timetable appears to be accelerating. Interesting year, 2029, right next to the famous 2030, when everything is supposed to change, according to the World Economic Forum, based in Davos, not far from CERN. So, what do we have so far? We have insiders talking about portals and entities and mentioning that CERN is trying to change the time. We have the Mandela effects, a lot of them. We have a growing feeling, reported by many people, that time feels different, like it's accelerating. We have a massive scientific project operating at unprecedented energy levels, exploring extra dimensions, quantum phenomena, and the deepest structure of reality. We have legal challenges that failed to stop it. We have limited oversight spread across international agreements. We have unexplained stories, unanswered questions, and one name that appears briefly and then almost disappears. And finally, we have increasing public curiosity. Enough curiosity that CERN itself felt the need to respond. On their official website, there's an entire section dedicated to answering questions from the public. A full Q&A section addressing many of the same concerns we've just talked about. Let me show it to you. The last one is quite interesting. The first one, is the Large Hadron Collider dangerous? CERN says the LHC is safe. Their argument is that the energies involved are lower than those produced naturally by cosmic rays, which have struck Earth and other celestial bodies for billions of years without observable damage. What happened with LHC in 2015, and what does CERN plan to do in the future? They say the LHC restarted in June 2015 at the energy of 13 tera-electron volts. Collision activity was gradually increased later that year, followed by a scheduled technical stop. After a successful run in 2016, the collider resumed operations in 2017, entering a new data-taking phase. Future plans involve increasing beam intensity to produce more collisions and expand understanding of fundamental physics. Why is the Higgs boson referred to as the God particle? The explanation given is that the Higgs boson is a central part of the Standard Model and was observed only after the LHC became operational, decades after it was first proposed. The term God particle was coined by Leon Lederman in a 1993 popular science book as a publishing choice, not a scientific claim, and is generally disliked by physicists. Is CERN's aim to prove that God does not exist? They say no, and that their mission is scientific, not philosophical or theological. It describes itself as a multicultural collaboration focused on studying the fundamental structure of matter for the benefit of humanity. Why does CERN have a statue of Shiva? It is said that the statue is a diplomatic gift from India, symbolizing a metaphor between the cosmic dance in Hindu tradition and the movement of subatomic particles. It is presented as one of many artworks on site. What are the shapes in the CERN logo? Official explanations describe the logo as representing particle accelerators and beam lines. The design dates back to 1968 and reflects schematic elements of accelerator physics. You can see the original logo here. Will CERN open a door to another dimension? They say it won't. While some theories involve extra dimensions, experiments are described as tools that test theoretical models rather than creating physical openings. What did Stephen Hawking say about Higgs potentially destroying the universe? It is clarified that Hawking was not discussing the work being done at the LHC. The LHC is described as observing nature at a fundamental level without influencing it. Measurements of the Higgs boson suggest the universe exists in a long-term, quasi-stable state, far exceeding any imaginable timescale. Can the LHC have an influence on weather patterns and natural phenomena? The response given is that it cannot. The electromagnetic fields generated by the LHC are contained within the magnets and are comparable to those used in medical imaging devices. Will CERN generate a black hole? The explanation provided is that the LHC will not create black holes in the cosmological sense. Some theories predict the possibility of microscopic quantum effects, which are described as harmless and scientifically valuable. I saw a video of a strange ritual at CERN. Is it real? They state, no. This video, from summer 2016, was a work of fiction showing a contrived scene. CERN does not condone this kind of action, which breaches CERN's professional guidelines. Those involved were identified and appropriate measures taken. Interesting year. Wasn't 2016 the year that tunnel in Switzerland officially opened? Well, we've reached the end. As always, I'm not here to tell you what to think. Do your own research. Look at the facts. Draw your own conclusions. Thanks for staying until the end. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you found this worth your time, a like or a share goes a long way. And subscribe if you haven't already.